Race number 3 of the weekend for the AIM Technologies Bikesports Championship here at Silverstone, and a grid based on the results from race 2 sees Joe Stables and Phil Cooper share row 1 ahead of Richard Stables and Chris Preen on row 2, and Lee Torrey, who's got his car fixed after that dramatic last lap contact with eventual winner Joe Stables. He's there 5th on the grid and looking for redemption. Well, we've had 2 cracking races so far this weekend for the Bikesports cars, and I'm sure they will want to end on a high. There is Lee Torrey, the black and red number 78 car with Chris Preen alongside him as they make their way out of club 2 by 2 towards the rolling start here for the 3rd race, the 8th round of the AIM Technologies Bikesports Championship. Well, they've left them on red for an awfully long time, and that was a very scrappy start indeed, and that has allowed Phil Cooper to seize the advantage down towards Abbey Corner. Contact there further back. That was actually Hickling up the inside of Doug Carter, and it's Carter who came off from that one worse, had to really back off and got mugged by several cars behind. Joe Stables, though, trying to get the race lead away from Phil Cooper at Village, and does not succeed. Phil Cooper on the inside line hangs on, but now Joe Stables gets the switch back, gets up the inside down towards the link, and surely is about to go back through into the lead. Look at the midfielders, they're all getting very close together indeed in the early stages, but at the front of the field, Joe Stables looking to try and get the hat-trick here, as he achieved last time out at Rockingham. Remember, he won all 3 races there as well, and he's alongside Phil Cooper. But look at that, Phil Cooper coming back at him down towards Stowe, and Cooper will not give in here. He's had a chance to win a race here overall, and he won't want to give it away without a fight. Down through Stowe they go, and yes, Cooper it is who has held on to the race lead, so Cooper leads the way. Stables second, I think it was Richard Stables in 3rd position. We're on board with Ashley Hickling in front of us. We've got a side-by-side battle. The inside line there was going Andy Chittenden, and he takes position away from Chris Bell. That was nicely done on the brakes down towards Vale. And Hickling in turn defending from Robert Rees. Those two have been battling along quite a lot this weekend. Front of the field though, Phil Cooper leads the way from Joe Stables in 2nd position, and these two are in the same class. Remember, they're both Class B cars, so this is a genuine fight for position as well as a class position. Richard Stables, the leading Class A car, not too far behind, and he will be watching for Lee Torrey to arrive on his tail before too much longer, I'm sure, to start debating that position. Lee Torrey started 5th. I have to say, I didn't spot in the first lap shenanigans where he ended up. He is still 5th, so 5th position for Lee Torrey in the slipstream of Chris Preen as they go down the hanger straight for the 2nd time. Onto the brakes, and well, Joe Stables, now that he's not out in front, this is really about the longest that he's spent not in the lead of a race all weekend long, so without being able to use that clean air to sort of pull away and to build up an advantage, is he maybe now going to start coming under pressure from some of the other cars behind, namely Richard Stables, who is immediately behind him. Up the inside line there goes Bill Henderson, takes place away from Doug Carter, whose race is really unravelling here right from the word go. The number 33 car, Richard Hardy, is now the next man on his tail. So Doug Carter, who came into this weekend 3rd position in the Class A Championship, just 1 point ahead of Robert Rees. Well, he's managed to take some points out of Robert so far this weekend, so at least his 3rd place in the points is fairly secure. Look at the damage there to Ashley Hickling's car. That's after the contact with Doug Carter at the first corner, where there was about 4 or 5 abreast. There simply wasn't room for all of them to go through together. He clobbers the curb. That won't help either, but that bodywork is getting ever looser, and if it continues to do so, then it may well attract the attention of the clerk of the course. If he starts getting shown the meat roll flag, the black and orange flag, then that means that he's got a mechanical issue with his car that he may not be aware of, and indeed he may not be aware of that bodywork flapping down the left-hand side of the car. But either way, if he sees the black and orange flag, he will have to go into the pit lane to retire. What he sees right now is the red number 7 car diving up the inside and ahead of him. That was Bill Henderson going through. Actually, though, fair play to him, still fighting on, tries to get back up the inside at Stowe, but Henderson did qualify Ashley Hickling across the weekend. And of course, the win for this one based upon the result from race 2, in which Henderson was 8th and Hickling was 10th. So Henderson has had the pace this weekend, and he's showing that now, already starting to pull away from the walking wounded number 16 car behind. Across the start-finish line they go. In towards Village go the leaders, where it is still Phil Cooper leading the way. So Joe Stables not having it all his own way this time around. He looks quicker, but we saw in race 1 that Phil Cooper's PR6 is very rapid in a straight line. It comes off the corners well, and then it carries that momentum all the way down the long straights. And so Joe Stables is going to have to get inventive here if he wants to try and find a way through to the race lead, which I'm fairly certain that he does. These two fighting for class honours as well, so there are points on offer here if Joe Stables can find a way through. And Joe, of course, fighting for the outright championship, also fighting for the Class B honours. Then we came into this weekend some 15 points ahead of Phil Cooper. Of course, he's beaten Phil by a few positions, one position, sorry, in race 2, and of course Phil was disqualified from race number 1. Now you can't count a disqualification as one of your dropped scores. They dropped 3 scores over the year, and so that really has unravelled Phil Cooper's championship aspirations. There's a bit of debris there that got run over by Joe Stables. Hopefully that's not done any damage to the SR3, which is still running very, very close to the race leader. He's took right underneath the rear wing of Phil Cooper's PR6 as they went down towards Abbey that time. Richard Stables still in 3rd place. It was side by side, I think, for 4th in the background. That was Lee Torrey trying to get past Chris Preen, but he was not able to do it. So Chris Preen still in 4th, but his defensive driving means that the pair of them are dropping now ever further behind the leading trio. Oh, in fact, I better tell a lie, actually. Lee Torrey did get through, so it looked at first glance as though Chris Preen had held on, but Torrey is now 4th. Can he close in on the leaders? Well, we'll find out over the next few minutes or so. As long as Phil Cooper's in the lead, I'm fairly confident that Joe Stables isn't going as quickly as he could be, so that gives Lee Torrey a chance to close in on the leading bunch. Phil Cooper almost had Joe Stables in the back of him, then into Stowe, and again down in towards Vale, because Joe Stables, clearly through that part of the circuit, is visibly quicker than Cooper, who again runs a bit wide over the curb. Stables will have a much better run now onto the pit straight. He'll try and use the slipstream, although he might already be alongside. Yes, he is. Goes to the outside, back to the inside line again. Joe Stables doing everything he can to get the lead away from Phil Cooper. It's just not working for the time being, so Phil Cooper tenaciously hanging on to the race lead. And, well, I said the first 2 races were good. Race 3 could be even better, because we've got a car in the lead that is slower in some parts of the circuit than the car behind, but then quicker in others. This is a part of the circuit, though, where Stables excels, and he uses that to his advantage. Goes up the inside at the link, makes sure he doesn't run too wide on the exit, and he takes the lead away. So Stables finally has managed to slip through the crack and get the race lead away. Of course, now they're onto the straight, which is where the PR6 is strong, but I don't think that Philip Cooper is going to be able to get up the inside into Stowe. No, he's not, and instead has to watch his mirrors, because closing in is now Richard Stables. Keen not only to get a position here, but also maybe come to the rescue of his son and try and take some of the pressure away from our double race winner already this weekend. And Joe Stables, as I said, only the 1 race that he hasn't won this year, and that was the opening round at Alton Park, where he was 3rd place overall. Apart from that, he has been pretty much unstoppable. It was Phil Cooper, though, who stopped him that time around. Of course, the tight and technical Alton Park circuit, that does play quite into the hands of the PR6. And therefore, Phil Cooper was able to really run very well that weekend. So, back down towards the link they will go once again in this 3rd and final race of the weekend for the AIM Technologies Bikesports Championship. And now it's all about Lee Torrey, who has indeed been able to latch on to the lead group. He's up there now with Richard Stables. What can Lee Torrey do? Can he work his way further up the order? Find out now as they go down into Stowe Corner again. He's on the tail now of the 3rd place man. There's surely an opportunity up the inside line into Vale. This is where he tried and failed to take the race lead at the end of race 2. This time he tries and succeeds in taking 3rd place away from Richard Stables. So Richard Stables drops down into 4th position. And so through goes Lee Torrey. Lee Torrey and Richard Stables top 2 in Class A in the championship and indeed in this race. So that was a move for the class lead there for Lee. And through he goes. So Lee Torrey picks up the position and now sets off after the leading 2. Well, we saw in race 2 that he had the pace to close in and almost beat Joe Stables to the overall race victory. So if he doesn't waste too much time stuck behind Phil Cooper, who knows, he might be able to go up there and score a race victory, which would be perfect redemption for what happened in this morning's first race. No real blame to be apportioned for that one. It was just a racing incident. They were side by side and there was traffic involved as well, and you just can't go 3 abreast through Vale. Unfortunately, it was Torrey who not only didn't get the lead and therefore the win, but broken rear suspension meant that he had to sort of limp home in 5th. So Lee Torrey will really want a podium above all else, but of course he'd love to have another go at beating Joe Stables. So down into Club they will go once again. Lee Torrey chasing down Phil Cooper in 2nd place. So back along the start-finish straight they go, and Lee Torrey, the quickest man on the track that time around, actually even quicker than Joe Stables. So really quick pace that we're seeing here in this race from Lee Torrey, who I thought was going to come from a long way back there to have a go at Cooper into Village. Didn't work. So Cooper is doing a really really good job here to hang on to the second position, but for how much longer? Because Lee Torrey looks the quicker of the two. He's in the slipstream now down the straight, and Lee Torrey, is he close enough to have a go underneath Phil Cooper into Stowe? I don't think he is. It's possibly better just to get a good run out of here and have a go down into Vale, which I think is what he's probably going to try and do. Down into the braking zone they will go, and is he close enough? No, and discretion the better part of Valour there, although Phil Cooper runs a bit wide, and that opens the door very nicely for Lee Torrey, who needed no second invitation and goes through anyway. So Lee Torrey applied the pressure. Of course, we talk all the time about, you know, out-braking manoeuvres and using the slipstream and trying to actively overtake another car, but sometimes the best method of overtaking is just to apply the pressure, just sit there underneath the rear wing of the car you're trying to get past, and eventually they are more than likely going to make a mistake because they'll have one too many glances in the mirror, or they'll try and carry their braking a little bit too late, and they'll run a bit wide as Phil Cooper did and allow you through anyway. So Lee Torrey, really good race this. He's pulled off some nice moves, but that was just nice appliance of the pressure, and he's moved through into second place. Now, can he repeat the performance that we saw in this morning's second race of the weekend, first of the day, when he was able to close in on Joe Stables and take, or almost, well, he did briefly take the race lead and challenge for the race victory. Well, can he do the same again this time? He's got past Phil Cooper a lot quicker than I thought he would, so you never know. Traffic in front though, and traffic has been really the bane of Lee Torrey's weekend, because it was actually the car that he just overtook there, wasn't it? That was the car of, excuse me, Sean Peters, who he almost tangled with in race one, which led to a spin. And they were going up the inside of another back marker, a couple of back markers at the end of race number 2, when it all went Pete Tong as well down at Vale. So I think the less that Lee Torrey sees of the back markers, the better in this one. Now this is for third, fourth and fifth positions. It was getting quite close there between the two PR6s, because Richard Stables had taken advantage of Phil Cooper getting held up in back markers there, and had closed in onto the third place man, but no, he's not quite as close now as they come back out onto the Hangar Straight underneath the bridge once again. And Chris Preen there in fifth position, trying to close in on the pair of them. Then we've got Joe Locke there, the green car, number 8. Number 30 is the car that's just gone a lap down. That's Mark Grayson, the white and yellow. Phil Cooper, well, having lost the class lead, now he's lost second place overall. His next priority is to try and stay on the podium, and above all else keep Chris Preen at bay, because those two were only 15 points apart in the fight for second place in the championship going into this weekend. Well, of course, Chris Preen finished behind Phil Cooper in the first race, but will have also benefited from Phil's disqualification from race 1. So Chris Preen, by my reckoning, will have moved through into second place in the championship now. Certainly when you take drop scores into equation. May not be the case on total points, drop scores not yet being applied because we're only at the third race meeting of the year. But it's definitely possible that Chris Preen could move into second place in the championship before the end of the year. Right now he's trying to move into fourth place in the race, and that would be at the expense of Joe Stables, who is right in front of him. And within striking range as well at the moment is the fifth place man. Chris Preen drops down in towards Vale. Nothing doing at that part of the circuit, so back out they will go. And yeah, Chris Preen, I reckon if things finish as they are now, he's going to be within a few points of Phil Cooper. It's not quite enough to take the second place in Class B, but applying the pressure, and as we've seen, applying pressure both in the races and in the championship of equal importance, because if you're only a couple of points ahead of another driver, then it's on your mind when you're out there on the track. You're watching for where they are, and if they get up behind you, then of course that adds extra pressure to the situation as you try and keep them behind and keep scoring the points. So Chris Preen wants to get on with this here. They are being caught slightly here by Joe Locke, it must be said, the green and brake car, who we haven't seen that much of this weekend, but Joe's had a fairly consistent weekend actually, if rather uneventfully. Had a non-finish in race 1, but in race 2 he was 7th, which was where he was running in race 1 when he retired. So Joe Locke's had the pace to get solid top 10 finishes. just hasn't necessarily been doing anything all that exciting out there, but we're quite happy with another top 10 result. It looks like it's on its way now. On board with Ashley Hicklin, meanwhile, who has he had a top 10 this weekend? No, he's had 2 11th place finishes, so Ashley Hicklin is looking for his first top 10 of the weekend. At the moment, he's not running inside the top 10, so it's not likely to happen this time around. Drops down the hill towards Vale. The man that he's challenging is the number 9 car of John Gilman, who started at the back of the grid for this race, having not finished the previous race. No, I tell a lie, actually. He finished 8th, didn't he, in that race? I'm not entirely sure why he started at the back for this race. The results based upon the result from the second race, so of course it's in theory, if he finished there in 8th position, he should have started there. So for some reason, John Gilman started from the back of the grid. He has made good progress. He started towards the back actually in both of the races prior to this one as well and made good progress. So John Gilman has done lots of overtaking this weekend, arguably more than most. He's now starting to pull back away from Ashley Hicklin, who appears to have shed that side skirt that was flapping in the wind earlier on. So Hicklin at least doesn't have that to worry about now. So as they come up to the lap now on Sean Peters, the orange machine, looks as though this position is fairly settled for the time being. So in race 1, things can change. Traffic always comes into play in these Bikesports races because they're 18 minutes plus a lap, and there's quite a speed differential between the quickest and the slowest drivers. In qualifying, there were about 10 seconds between pole position Joe Stables and the slowest qualifier Charles Adrian, so you're always going to catch back markers, and if you catch them in the wrong place it can have a real effect, as we've seen, on your end result. So back down into Village they will go, and Ashley Hicklin doing his best here to close in, but not really quite been able to just yet. So back with our race leader, Joe Stables, and Joe Stables, if things finish as they are now, will leave Silverstone on 125 points, whilst Lee Torrey, despite the fact that he's on for a class win himself in second place overall, will leave here on 122. So actually Joe Stables will now have more points than Lee Torrey in their respective classes. Both of them will be leading their respective classes, Stables in Class B and Torrey in Class A. Lee hasn't really had the pace in this one that he showed in race 2. It's possible, of course, that the car, although it's been fixed, it may not be quite back to its best after its damage in the previous race. It's all changed behind though, look, because Phil Cooper, not only has he dropped off the podium, he's actually dropped behind Chris Preen, his class rival. So Richard Stables has gone 3rd, Preen has gone 4th, and down to 5th for Phil Cooper, which is 3rd in class. So that'll be one of Phil Cooper's worst results of the year, and he won't be happy with that at all. Leader comes through though and goes on to the final lap of the race, and Joe Stables is looking fairly comfortable now to take, well, what's this going to be, his 7th win in a row, both in class and overall. And still only the one race that he's failed to win this year. It's been pretty dominant performance, but as we saw in the previous 2 races, he's not miles quicker than anybody else. It's just that he always seems to have the racecraft required to get to the front and stay there, and he was helped a bit, I think, this time around by Lee Torrey and his issues with a bad, by his standards, bad starting position. Well, out of the final corner comes Joe Stables, and he takes the checkered flag. A brilliant result from Joe Stables. 3 wins from 3 for the second round on the bounce, and he will take over the outright championship lead. A great performance from Joe Stables. He is victorious. From Lee Torrey in 2nd, Richard Stables is 3rd, and Chris Preen 4th, with Phil Cooper down to 5th on the last lap ahead of Joe Locke, Andy Chittenden, Bill Henderson, Doug Carter and Chris Bell, who rounds out the top 10. Then it was John Gilman, Ashley Hicklin, Robert Rees, Richard Hardy and Tony Barwell ahead of Bruce Crawley, David Palmer, Mark Grayson and Sean Peters, whilst Adrian Reynard, Charles Adrian and Duncan Keith were all non-finishers in the final race of the weekend.
Joe, hat-trick of wins, that's 7 in a row. You've got to be happy.
Can't be any happier.
Yeah.
No.
And talk us through that race. If you could sum up this weekend.
Well, in the race, Phil and my dad were pretty on it from the start, and it was a bit of a battle going on. We were in leading, and I was following Phil for quite a few laps, but there's only one place where I could get him, and I made the move and just stuck it.
Brilliant, and it puts you firmly at the top of the championship. It's been a fantastic weekend. Well done.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, Lee, up until that point, it's been a pretty miserable weekend for you. It's nice to see you on the podium. Well done.
Yeah, it's, I'm pleased. It did not go well yesterday, and I made a bit of I made a big mistake this morning, and that really cost me. So yeah, this one was a bit, some redemption. So yeah.
Yeah, well, in the second race, you had a lot of pace. You worried Joe for most of the race. You're really close behind him. Sort of race 3, you made up for it. Well done.
Yeah, so I had the pace in race 2, and I was just, I was going to try and make a move at the end, so I was just sitting there really. This one I had to come from 5th, so I had a really good battle with Chris Preen. Then I had a really good battle with Richard, and then I had a really good battle with Phil Cooper. So, from that side of it, it was really entertaining, really good.
Yeah, well, it was great to watch, but for now, go and enjoy. Well done.
Thank you.
Richard, if I said to you at the start of this weekend you'll have 3 podiums, 3 third places, you wouldn't believe me, would you?
Not really, no. 20, 21, 22 on the grid. I thought it was going to be a real battle this week. There's a lot of quick drivers out there and a lot of quick cars. And we got here on Friday and I was having problems with my car, so I didn't even think I was going to get out. So, it's been a good weekend. Yeah.
Fantastic. And where can you improve from there?
Start saving up. I don't know. I can't improve. I can't go as fast as these lads here. They've got a few years on me and they've got a few horsepower on me, so I can't keep up with them.
It's been fantastic to watch all weekend. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah.